eating like, you know, pho at like 11 o'clock, going, I'm like, fuck, dude, I got to start working out.
Dude, it's if I just go to an event like a mastermind or like DM fam or whatever, and I eat like shit or drink, and then it forces you to eat like shit because now you're like a drunk eating. And you're just like, fuck, dude, I need a recovery period from this 2-day event. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. Today I got my buddy from Ohio in town, Tarry Summers. He's got a rock star business up there. He owns over 300 doors. I think he just sold a few of them off, so we're gonna ask him about that. And really been taking some time this year to refine his business in a big way. Just got married, has a lot of good stuff going on. So excited for this episode. I know it's gonna be filled with a ton of value. Hope you guys love it. Tarry Summers, what's up, homie?
What's going on, Tim?
Dude, excited for you to be here, man. Welcome to Spill the Beans.
I appreciate you having me.
No, man, it's awesome. You know, I've met up with a bunch of my buddies here in Charleston, and there's a few that still haven't been on Spill the Beans, but it's hard to get people, not hard, but I haven't really like reached out to people outside of Charleston area to come in and jump on, and so it's kind of like my next progress, and it's awesome that you're in town. We get to match up and, dude, film an episode.
Absolutely, and dude, I'm already thinking about moving. This is crazy.
Are you seriously looking here?
It's one of the places, yeah. One of the places. I mean, we go down to Key West 3-4 times a year, so it's like similar architecture, only you get seasons here, obviously. So which is pretty cool. Yeah,
and it's drivable to Ohio, and it's been ranked in the top, I think it was #1 for the past like 8 or 9 years in a row, in like Condé Nast, travel magazines and all that stuff, of places to visit and places to live. #1 city in the entire country.
And it's blowing up.
Dude. So I sat down with an economic, actually director of research for, who was it? Colliers International, which is a big commercial real estate firm. And dude, he was going over some stats of what's about to happen to Charleston, South Carolina. It's already going like this. He's like, this is not a bubble. This is not like a one-time thing. It's not going to cool off. It is going to just get, it's going to keep on rolling, man. It's just going to get exacerbated over the next couple of years, and it's going to continue to grow. And there's a lot of very unique things about the Charleston landscape and how we're surrounded by a bunch of national parks and some other stuff where it's like people can't really go out, and so it's going to just continue to grow. And it's a good spot, man. And it is, Charleston itself is within a 24-hour drive of 2/3 of the population of the United States. Where you'd think like, oh, hey, you know, New York's the big port city. Well, guess what, dude? Everybody's moving down south.
Yeah.
So you need something that's a little bit more centrally located, and Charleston's one of the only port cities that can bring in these big ass ships and then load it onto trucks and then take it all over the country. Awesome. So it's just going to keep on rolling, buddy.
Let me ask you a question, real estate wise, like hedge fund wise. You know, I'm more in the single family space.
Yeah.
Is there a bunch of hedge funds down here that are buying, or like how's that?
Yeah, I really can't compete in the downtown corridor, man. It's like big money. It's New York money. It's Boston money. Charleston's not seen as like a secondary city. It's seen as one of the more primary markets. Yeah. It's like a Charlotte. It's like a I don't know if it's like an Atlanta or a Tampa or a Miami by any means, but
it's up there.
It's up there, dude. Yeah. It is very much up there, just as much as like a Columbus, Ohio would be, you know? And so there's real money down here. So I can't really compete with those. I'm really looking at the outskirts of Charleston. I'm going into some rougher areas and buying up some tracts, knowing that it'll turn over.
It's eventually going to pop. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is a lot of people. It's a different philosophy coming from single family to multifamily, because single family, you're like, how quickly can I turn this bad boy, right? How quickly can I generate revenue? It's more of a transactional mindset versus the multifamily. I'm looking at a 10-year to 20-year time horizon. What is happening in this market, and what is this property going to do over the next 20 years? You know, instead of just the next 12 months or the next 6 months, in order to make a quick rip on it. So it's a different lens that you're looking at property through, and when you start looking at it that way, you just make a little bit different of a decision. You know, and so I'm looking at not as what is the value today, but where is the value going to be over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and that's where I want to go and park some cash.
Absolutely, man. So you're so you got the island thing too, right? You just bought an island.
Yeah.
Super freaking cool to like get on social media and say, yeah, I bought an island, and that was literally it. That's all you put. I bought an island. Like, Okay, giant yellow emoji.
1,500 likes and comments, and no, it's 90% of my portfolio is boring ass B-class apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Right. Not exciting, except for maybe the people like you and me, and maybe some of the viewers of hey, that's exciting, that's cool.
That's
but like
the biggest moneymaker in the business.
Exactly.
You know? You're getting appreciation, cash flow, the whole nine.
But it's not like the flashy, sexy, front of the brochure type stuff. So at the same time, like we both believe in, turning a liability into an asset. How can you go and have a second home but get somebody else to pay for it, right? And turn that, not where it's taking money out of your pocket, but how, bringing money into your pocket. So that's what I did with the mountain house. I wanted a home in the mountains. I wanted a beautiful home in the mountains. I didn't want to pay for it, so I brought in some investing partners. They put the cash up, and then we Airbnb it half of the year, and then we can use it. Like, I have personal use of that house about 10 to 12 weeks a year.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you need it? Not. I don't even going to use it anywhere near 3 months a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can go up there anytime. It pays for itself. I have the equity in it, and all this other good stuff. So
speaking of though, like, did you find that, like, at this stage in your career, like, getting that trophy property or getting some of these other trophy properties helps kind of solidify everything else that you're doing?
Well, that's a great question. I think it does two things. It gives me, I'm not a Ferrari or a Lambo guy, right?
Me neither, man.
And, like, I drive a Jeep Wrangler, and I love it, dude, and I will never give it up. But
me neither.
Which is totally cool, right? It's totally cool. I think social media kind of says, hey, you need this or you need that. And, dude, I think you got to own. I was talking one of the other guys in the mastermind that we're in, and he's like, dude, I'm just I'm a truck guy, right? I love my truck. I just want to hang out and drink whiskey and hang out in my truck. And so he goes, I didn't think that was okay until I heard you say that you're a Wrangler guy, And so I think it's cool to own that, right? And then, but at the same time, we live in a very vanity culture, and they want to see the nice watches, and they want to see like that kind of stuff. That for me is not cars, it is badass vacation homes and second homes, and that's what the island does. So it's good for the front of the brochure. It offers the sexiness, and then they say, okay, here's where a lot of the real returns are, is over here, and then this is more of a lifestyle property. So we're going to keep on growing that. I have an awesome lake house I'm going to be buying, and then a beautiful like historical mansion in downtown Charleston we're buying, and we're going to host some events there and do wedding events and some of that kind of stuff. And I'm bringing on an asset manager just for these short-term rentals. And then really 90% of our portfolio, though, is the apartments.
Yeah. Not that you want to be in the wedding business, but just getting married a month ago. Yeah. Holy shit. Dude. Like, there's nowhere to get married at. And if you want to get married, like, you're paying for it.
Well, dude, think about it. Nobody can get married for a year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, there's a huge backlog.
Their backlog, if you want to get married on a weekend in Charleston, it's 3 years. It's like 2 years and 9 months or something like that in order to get married. You can't get married until 2025 here.
So hold on, that's like, is there wedding like management companies?
Yeah.
Like they could actually book this stuff for you?
Exactly.
Shit.
So I mean, that's the key. It's like, how do you work harder, or how do you work smarter, not harder? Right? Like, I don't want to be in the wedding business. Yeah. Let me just. This is the wedding capital of the country. So let me just bring in some of these wedding planners. Say, hey, new venue opened up, book it up. Give you guys I don't know how that all works. I got to learn.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can get $25,000 for a weekend at this mansion.
That's a no-brainer, man.
Yeah. So if I do it 12 times a year, 15 times a year, it pays for the entire place. Not to mention, it allows me to have an office downtown or host masterminds. It's got 10 bedrooms, 10,000 square feet. It's a rock star location and everything. So, it's just doing a little bit more of that. But awesome. Yeah, man. So tell me what's going on in your world. I know we were talking offline, off camera. There's a couple things I want to bring up, but tell me what you got going on right now. What does business look like? Snapshot.
Yeah, man. So we were talking right before this, and it's like, I've been growing for like the last 10 years, more so in the single family space. I'm actually selling most of my multifamily. The smallest ones that I'll have after this will be a 24 unit. But it cranks, and the bigger stuff, getting rid of it, just cashing out, taking my chips off the table.
Love it.
Fuck off a little bit.
There you go.
Enjoy life. But yeah, selling us.
And how many doors were you at? You good?
Almost 300.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So yeah, we're gonna peel back to about 200. So literally like a third of the portfolio is gonna be gone. But just focusing in getting rid of all the bad single families, all the high equity stuff. So we've kind of identified, like, if we can sell it and release it out of the bank loans for 100 grand or more, we're selling it. And then just taking that and then rolling into other stuff.
So are you looking at a fixed amount, or are you looking at like a return on equity?
Return on equity.
ROE. So you're looking at ROE. So you're saying, hey, bought this. We're into this thing for 150. We can sell it for 250. That makes sense.
The debt's 120. Let's get rid of it. Yeah, we can take the cash. We can roll it in the market, roll it into crypto. 1031 it. We've done a couple of those already, just to basically move money around. And it's like, dude, you grow for so long. It's like you're gonna get some shit along the way
for sure,
and you got to clean up your shit before you can go out and grow again.
That's a great point.
And
that's what I'm doing too now too.
You have to. You can't just go like balls to the wall for years on end.
Yep.
You burn out. Your guys burn out, and then third, like, dude, you just can't do it.
That's a great point.
You can go under. You can go under.
I mean, we're going through the exact same thing. We're, as we were talking offline, like, it's been growth. Like, dude, I bought 1,000 doors in 2018, 2,000 doors in 2019, another 1,000 in 2020 despite COVID, and we picked up another over $100 million of property this year too. Now we peeled off about 1,300 units just to get rid of the C-class stuff, get rid of the small stuff, get out of partnerships that weren't performing as well as we had hoped, and just heavy management intensive stuff. Dude, you got to do that, right? It's just like, it trims the fat, it makes you that much more lean moving forward. And it's just, dude, it's a breath of fresh air too. We were talking like, I've been equity rich for a long time, but now I'm finally like liquid.
Yeah.
Like we go through these feast and famine cycles
finally,
of being real estate investors, and it just, you're like, man, it just feels good to take a deep breath. And then, my goal is just dig the moat around my friggin' family, right? And so that nothing can ever penetrate, and have that financial security, not only with equity but also with liquidity, and stock some money aside, forget about it almost, right? And just know that it's always there for the fam.
You get balanced, man.
And how much more confident are you moving forward now, right?
Absolutely.
Now you can take a different level of risk. Now you can have a different level of excitement and different projects that you want to do, just because you know that that's always taken care of.
Absolutely, man. And then you get into different stuff. You get money in the market. I know you're investing in crypto now too, and you just do different stuff. And for some people, they're like, why would you sell? If this thing's cash flowing, that's like the end goal, right? Buy a building that's cash flowing, big multifamily, passive income. You don't have to do anything. But eventually, like, you're going to have to do some stuff or step in, or something's going to happen. And I think people that might just have like one or two buildings don't necessarily understand the business around it. You got to look at the return on your business too. And if your business is not scaled correctly, or you don't have the right team or whatever, you might need to peel off some stuff and just go and start again.
And return on lifestyle, right? Like, it's harder to quantify. But dude, you got a family, right? You want to go travel. You don't want the headaches. You want to be able to spend time with the kiddos and all that stuff. And it's like this, if there's a property or an employee or anything that's like, I look at my phone, I'm like, and I sigh when I look at it. You know what I do? I was like, this needs to be cut off, right? I need a tourniquet for whatever this part of my life is, so that way I don't have to sigh. Like, dude, it gets to a point where, like, I don't want to have that feeling about anything or about anybody. And if I do, it's not fair to the people who are involved in that deal. It's not fair to that employee, right? It's like not. So, like, it's just get rid of it, right? And just get it out of your life, and it's just gonna, take a big weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, there's certain things, certain people. You pick up the phone, you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, you get. I mean, couldn't be. It might just not be right for them. Might not be right for you. But yeah, you have to figure out how to systemize it or eliminate it. Just get rid of it, man. But like, the more and more you get into this thing, you want to have less and less of those moments, man. And then when you're in that growth phase where you're just going, like, you don't care. You're like, yeah, I'll do everything. You got to get to that point, but once you do, you gotta be able to take some deep breaths.
Do you think that? I feel like it's, hey, why don't you just build it the right way on the front end? I think you have to go through the experience in order to really do that, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, you need scale, right? You need to grow it to a certain level before you can actually refine and then put the right pieces and parts.
And even realize what the hell you've got.
Right.
And I think everyone tries to perfect stuff on the front end so much, but dude,
and then it paralyzes them from actually taking action. Right?
100%. But then, like, you have to collect all the, and dude, you're gonna make mistakes, but go figure out mistakes later. But you can't scale and hire people without having a lot of units or
It's easier to build a big business than a small business because now you're generating enough revenue.
Yep.
That's the key. It's like generate as much revenue as you possibly can, and then once that revenue is being generated, now you can go hire the right people to not only work in your business, but you can hire people to put the right processes in your business and all that kind of stuff. So what are you doing right now in order to like refine your portfolio? So you're getting rid of the single family stuff.
Yeah, bad single family, high equity single family. The apartments get like scale. We had the 72 unit.
Wait, you said before you're getting rid of everything bigger than 24 units or smaller?
Bigger. Because I don't have anything that's 100 units plus.
Got it.
So for instance, we have the 72 unit, right?
Yep.
Picked it up, picked the first part of it up in 2016. 2018 picked up and just been piecing it together, but they're all contiguous.
Yeah.
So you can get the fanny dad on it, that whole thing.
Good.
But it just, dude, it's 72 units. There's not enough rev coming in for me to be able to just drop 2 people, a leasing and a maintenance there. I just don't have it, So you got to find that right scale with everything, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that going into it. I'm like, yeah, bigger's better, but you got to get really, really big before it starts to really make sense.
And the key is like you had to build your balance sheet. You had to build the portfolio before you can go and qualify for those Fannie Mae.
Absolutely, and unless you get one of those units, you're not going to be able to qualify for that stuff. They're like, oh, it's just a single family.
So it's a stepping stone to get into those bigger deals.
For sure.
Which I had to do, you had to do, right? Like that's the natural way. The only other way to do it is you link arms with somebody who has the portfolio, who has the background, and then somehow you can bring value to that relationship, that partnership, and then get some GP, general partner equity on that. So
absolutely. But yeah, the way I'm looking at it now is like, hey, this is your core business, and then how do you like you figure out who am I paying money to, right? And then instead of just building this core business bigger, well, just figure out who you're paying money to and figure out how I can clip margin here, how I can clip margin here.
Yep.
Like we were talking,
Love
hey,
that.
might have another attorney or might have, hey, I'm paying all these title fees. Be a partner in a title company. We were talking about HVAC. We just bought a construction company. Bought into, I should say, and we can get into that too. But we're looking at like an HVAC company. How can we buy an HVAC company because of how much we're spending on all these all this HVAC stuff. So I mean, just little things like that, man, to be able to clip your margins. But you got to have your core first. Once you define that, then you can start spinning off other avenues from it.
Right. It doesn't make sense to spend time on that early on because you don't have the scale, right?
Right.
But now that you got the scale, you know exactly how much money you're spending. Now you can make like an educated business decision based on metrics, right? Of how much money am I spending on legal fees, right? I'm dropping a lot of money on legal fees to the point where I'm like, I need another in-house attorney, right? And so let me pay somebody 120, 130 grand a year in order to bring them on, and then I can go and focus on not having to spend that with a third-party attorney who's billing me at $500 an hour. So like you're doing the exact same thing on the construction side. And you're doing some unique stuff on that. Like, are you cool with getting into like working with fam?
Yeah.
I think that's something that we've never really talked about on Spill the Beans of like, so give me the background.
Yeah. So, dude, I want nothing to do with the construction aspect. I mean, it's the biggest headache in this business. Construction. I'd rather do any other thing than manage construction. But
you manage properties. That's probably worse, dude.
But so my old man and I, he became an entrepreneur kind of the same time that I did, and he had small construction company, wasn't really going had a bad partnership, wasn't really going the way that he wanted it to. Partner ended up drowning him in all kinds of debt. So finally, my mom actually kind of brought us both together. She's like, I just don't want you guys to fight, and I'm like, we're both bullheaded, right? So we laid out some very, very clear-cut expectations up front. Said, hey, this is your baby. This is your business. I just want to be the guy that's going to help you grow this business. But at the same time, it's got to be able to help our flips and our rental side too. So
you brought him on as an operating partner
of the construction company.
Side. You still own your investment side.
Still own the investment side, the flips, the wholesale company, all that.
Run all the renovations through that, but you have very clear expectations.
And then we're billing from this company to then bill to this company. So he's making money. I make a little bit on it. We clip some margin. We make sure things get done in a timely fashion. We have more control over it. So instead of us, we're generally running about 15 flips at a time. We got up to like 26 at one point.
Dude,
before
that's
that,
a lot, bro. It's a lot.
It was insane. Absolutely insane. And unless if you want to get to that scale, you got to bring everything in house. There's no way you can control 7 different general contractors on 20 some different jobs. You just can't do it. So you got to be able to bring that stuff in house. And not that I want to be that big on the flip side again, but I want to be able to control our costs. So Clear-cut expectations, man, and dude, it's been great so far. It's been 2.5 months. We'll finally know at the end of the year kind of how everything is going and have some real numbers behind it. But you know, he makes money, we make money. It works for the business. Clear-cut expectations. This is your thing, your baby. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, we get to help out our business too.
I think it's awesome, man. And again, I think a lot of people, they want to develop that relationship on the front end, right? Without knowing what they're even getting into. Not only from a partnership perspective, but what is the business going to look like, right? Yeah. Like, you've already been in business long enough. He's been in business long enough where you know what things need to be addressed on the front end. Yeah. You know, I see a lot of people partnering up, and dude, I get it from like it's scary starting your own business. It's scary being an entrepreneur. It's scary with a new venture, and you want somebody to really commiserate with, right? And like, hey, be there to bounce ideas off of when you're starting this new venture and not having the successes or trying to talk through some things. And I get it. It's not easy, but the amount of businesses that fail because of that, that's not the reason to get involved in a partnership. It's not because you're scared of how the business is going to perform or not perform and what it's going to be like, and you know, you want somebody to hold your hand through the process. The key is, dude, understanding where you're good, where he's good, right?
The skill sets match up.
Yeah, make sure the skill sets counterbalance, right? Each other, complement each other, where you're not stepping on each other's toes, and at the same time, you know what the business looks like, right? So you know how much you're spending on construction and what you're spending on GC overhead, right? And at the same time, you know what the expectations are going into it, and so that way you can say, hey, Pops, here's the expectation. Well, first of all, you know, this is more important. The relationship's more important than anything else. If it ever comes to this, I want you to be able to come and talk to me. I'll come and talk to you. Hit that in the face before it ever becomes a thing, like a story in our head, right? And then here's exactly what we need and how we do it, and here what our processes are. Like, that's just, it's an easier way to have that versus like, you know, when I first got started, I was like, hey, who needs a job? Raise your hand. Oh, you're hired.
We all did that, right?
Right.
And who's going to message me on social media?
Yeah. And that's like not the best way to hire. And it's usually your buddies, because
it is your buddies.
They don't have a job, right? Because they don't have any income.
You're like, oh, you're doing this?
Yeah, you're king of the dipshits. And so, you know, to me, that's not the right way to hire. I like being in the business. Like, I'm considering hiring some family members or bringing them in the loop and that kind of stuff. And I've been really heavily weighing this thing out. And the idea is just very, very, very clear expectations. And I'm almost removing myself from the situation, saying, hey, you got to talk to the HR director, and you report to the COO, right? It's not even me.
Not me.
I'll get your resume in front of them, and then you got to win the job, right? And then from there, you got to perform, because this is dollars and decimals, and it's all metric, and it's all performance based, right? This is not emotional. It's not drama driven. It's all business. It's all business. It's all data driven. And I think that takes the emotions out of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And dude, it's so much easier to run too when everyone's making money. And it's like, what happens when you don't make money? Yeah. What happens if things do go sideways? You know, so having that drawn up and having that laid out, like, hey, this might go bad. If it does go bad, this is what's going to happen. Right? And that way it's, you know, hey, we agreed on this, that when we don't make money, this is probably the way it's going to go down.
And I've seen it go both ways, dude. I've seen it get ugly when you're not making money, obviously, right? That's
on the flip side, you're making too much money.
And I've seen people get really ugly when you make too much money. And the greed, like, their face turns green of just like wanting more and more. And you're like, damn, dude, I made you a lot of money, right? And now you're like, now you're stealing from the business? Like, why would you ever do that? It makes no sense.
But like, neither of us are like Ferrari guys or Lambo guys. I like classic cars. I mean, dude, this is my first Rolex ever. Finally got one. So I've never been like that flashy guy in the first place, but for me, like, even in our mastermind, I'm like, dude, I just want to spend more time with my dad. I want to spend more time with my mom. I want to spend more time with family, because I haven't. So to me, like, that's my flex. Like, I just want to be able to.
Let me show you the lifestyle.
Lifestyle. Man.
Let me show you how much time I have. Right, when you're in the hallway taking that phone call, there's me hanging out. Right. Like, I see that all the time. There, a lot of people flexing on how much they have going on, but dude, show me how everything else balances out. Right. You see the highlight reel on social media, but show me the blooper reel. That's what I want to see. I want to see what your life really looks like, outside of the flash and the pizzazz and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really the true picture of who people are.
Yeah, 1,000, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, do me a quick favor. Give me your best takeaway so far from this episode of Spill the Beans in the comments below. Smash the like button, show me some love, please. And also, share this, subscribe to the channel, so that way you get all the new episodes of Spill the Beans. Appreciate you. That's good, man. So what does it look like? How do you set your goals, right? It's towards the end of the year right now. You set your goals 12 months, 36 months? Do you have 10-year goals?
So
like,
I want to ask you the same question, but I do mine every quarter. Because I don't like, I was on that podcast with the guy in your boardroom yesterday, and he's like, what does Tarry Summers' life look like 10 years from now? I'm like, dude, I don't know what it looks like, 10 months from now. Yeah. Because in 3 months, I don't want to overcommit to something 10 years from now. Yep. And then lose sight of, I'm 35 years old. I don't want to, lose sight of what I might want to do at 40 because I set this 10-year goal. Yep. I might want to do something different with my kids. I might want to move down to Charleston with my family. Might want to, go take this vacation. Might want to take off for 4 or 6 months. Yeah. Who knows? So I just don't want to overcommit, but I know for the next quarter, what I want to do, and that's the way I set my goals.
I like that. So I have, and dude, I used to do, hey, here's where I want to be when I'm 65 years old, right? And then I remember when I was doing this in my early 20s, that I'd have my 40-year goal, right? Because that got me halfway to 65 or whatever it was. And then it was, and then there's my 5-year goal, and then I'd have a 12-month goal, and then I'd do it on a monthly basis. And dude, just opportunity changes so much that I was wasting my time even setting a 10-year goal because it's just, I don't even know what I want. I might start a new business and hate it and then shut it down. Why would I set a 10-year goal on that, right? But at the same time, I will say Elon Musk, and I'm trying to figure this out. I don't have the answer. Elon Musk doesn't think on a quarterly basis, right? No. Elon Musk thinks on a 100-year time horizon, right? And Bill Gates thinks on a 100-year time horizon. And some of the wealthiest people think on a long-term, a very long-term time horizon. But I think that's more of a navigational beacon, right? Of the direct, and not necessarily the roadmap on how to get there. And then I think you go from there, knowing I want to get there. All right, now what's the 3 to 12 month plan in order to pursue that? Sure. So I think they're both right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But these guys are, they're. If you want to be, worth $100 billion, or you want to solve the world's largest problems, you have to think on a 100-year time frame. You have to dedicate your entire life to that. There's not kid time. There's not, going to a soccer match. There's none of that stuff. Yeah. Because you're thinking so grand and so big that this other stuff kind of has to sit on the sidelines. You know? So I don't know. For me, it's more lifestyle, being able to spend, just getting married and kids, and I just want to be able to spend time and enjoy that part of it and enjoy that part of the ride until something else comes along and we'll figure it out.
I wonder if, they never talk about their lifestyle, right? I wonder if Elon Musk has a lifestyle. I wonder if he, I don't know.
I dig it though.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's commendable. Right? Everybody wants to be Iron Man, and that's a cool, to be able to say that. I don't know what his lifestyle's like, right? So I can't judge him based on that. I don't know what, Bill Gates' lifestyle is like. I know Bezos just got divorced, right? Because he's running around doing different stuff. So I don't know, do they have lifestyle? Do they not have lifestyle? Do they think they have lifestyle, but it's not the kind of lifestyle that we want? It's just, I don't know. I haven't interviewed a billionaire yet.
And there's something cool about sleeping on the couch in your office and working 14, 16 hours a day. It's commendable to a certain point, but then it's for what? Mm-hmm. For what?
Right, none of these guys ever said, I wish I would have worked more and neglected my family more on their deathbed, right? No. Have you ever heard anybody ever say that? I don't think so. I don't know, maybe there's I wish I would have made more of an impact. Yeah. But I think you can make a pretty substantial impact, man, without neglecting all that stuff, So I guess the question is, how do you do both, right? How do you build a big business and build it around your lifestyle, around your family, instead of building your family life around your business?
For sure. So how do you think about impact in our business? You're housing thousands of people. I'm housing hundreds of people. How do you think about impact in this space where we're not reinventing the wheel? Yeah. We're doing the same things that people have been doing for hundreds of years to get rich. How do you get impact out of
I think
this business?
Having a big real estate portfolio, that's really secondary to what goes in my head when I think about impact. When I think about housing 4,000 people and providing clean, safe, functional, a place where they can be proud to live, that makes me feel good. But it's more of an addition piece. piece, right? Like I just add more units, clean them all up,
sure.
you know, like when I think of impact, I think of ripple effect. I think of, we go to a pond or, that fountain right there, and we drop a stone or a pebble in there, and then it exponentially grows, right? So when I think about impact, I'm thinking, how do I exponentially grow? And for me, it's really become the education. Like I've taken the education and the coaching and the consulting business and taken it from, hey, it's just something that provides some deal flow, and then all of a sudden it's like, it used to be I want to make, 1,000 people millionaires, right? And I created $1 billion of value in the world. Now it's, I want to make 1,000 people leaders, right? And how many more people can if they impact 1,000 people, dude, that's $1 trillion, right, of value. If they help another 1,000 people create $1 million a piece of net worth, right? So now that's, when I start thinking like that, it's just a more grandiose scale. And so I'm less about, I don't know, if you've been following me for a long time, maybe it was more about how to do deals, and my team still teaches about that stuff, but really what resonates with me is like, how do I teach people how to be leaders? How do I teach people how to have influence? How do I teach people to make impact, right, across their circle of influence and their sphere and their local community and regional community or national community? Like, how do I help them do that creates a big ripple effect?
And you and I both get this, we both understand it, but like, it's just, it sounds cliche, but it's thinking abundantly that like everyone can have X, or everyone can do this, or everyone can, but a lot of people still think it's like us versus them, or it's like, hey, if someone's getting rich, then someone's getting poor. No,
not the case.
It's not the case, but a lot of people do think that way. But we can literally all do this, and it's just it's a mindset switch. Like everyone can have what they want if we truly believe that.
Dude, that whole idea of like wealth isn't created, it only transfers hands. I don't buy that. That's completely false, dude. Well, I mean, hey, all right. You own that piece of real estate, I own this piece of real estate, right? I've owned this piece of real estate, I bought it for $100,000. You come in, and let's say I have a house right here, right? You come in, you bought that piece of real estate, and it was a shack, and you bought it for 30 grand, right? You tear it down, you put another 70 grand into it, or 100 grand into it, right? You're into it for 130, but you put it in some beautiful place, right? And now it's worth $200,000. Bro, you just created wealth out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You took $130,000 and you created $70,000 of wealth, right? Now somebody comes in and spends that money with you. You now have $200,000. They still have an asset that's worth $200,000. And then just by your transaction taking place, my real estate over here goes from $100,000 to maybe $150,000. And you created $50,000 of value for me, right? You can create value out of nothing,
and
right?
That's what originally got me in this business in the first place, dude, was, buying a house. And I'm like, well, I bought the house for 80 grand, put like 5 grand into it, immediately worth 130,000. I'm like, holy smokes.
Created the value.
You created value, right? And then that helped out the neighbors, helped out the neighborhood. I don't buy into that whole like, if someone's getting rich, someone's getting poor type thing. But
not at all, man. And I think to your point, there's plenty of abundance all around the world, right? Like maybe not everybody can be a real estate investor, right? But there's plenty of other different types of businesses. And the reality is, bro, it was over 20 million, the HUD statistics from 2017, I haven't seen them updated in the past couple of years, like, so it doesn't include anything that's been built in 18, 19, 20, or 21. HUD stats is there were 20 million multifamily units in the United States, right?
Okay.
Of that, it was, it's 100,000 buildings, about a little over 90,000, 92, 93,000 buildings that are 50 units or bigger. 90,000, right? You're like, oh man, it doesn't seem like that many for like 350 million people. But guess what, dude? You know how many I own? 65 of them. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And I have a ridiculous lifestyle. And not only is it for me, but a bunch of people in my organization have equity, and I have joint venture partners, and it's feeding all those people, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need thousands and thousands of buildings. You need a couple dozen properties, and it'll change your financial future forever. And like, there's plenty of that everywhere, dude. Yeah. There are, you know, so you're thinking about that. You're thinking about there's over it's 700. No, it was $690,000. 700,000 properties, 5 units and bigger. 100 or 90,000 of those are over 50 units, and there's another 600,000 that are between 5 units to 50 units. Dude, that's a lot of doors. That's a lot of property that you can just go and collect and change your financial future forever, right? And so, like, I guess my point is, there's plenty of property out there. Like, there is zero amount of competition that I feel like I'm creating. Maybe there's some, but the reality is there's a lot more collaboration that's going to come from me educating people and coaching people and mentoring people than there is ever competition.
Absolutely. And going back to like single family, small apartments versus big apartments, like even those 5 to 50 unit buildings, like, dude, that's a stepping stone for somebody.
Bro, I mean, you can build a massive portfolio just out of that size
just
building.
out of that size.
That's too small for guys like me to get involved with.
For sure.
And it's too big for a lot of other people to get involved with. So, like, there's a sweet spot there of 20 to 50 doors per property that you can build a substantial portfolio and net worth from.
Yeah, and that's why duplexes, triplexes, quads, terrific investment if you're just starting out. Like, everyone on my team, I'm like, dude, as soon as you can, go out and buy a duplex.
Yeah.
Buy a quad immediately. Like,
Cam's buying one. And before the end of the year, right, Cam? We're going to find a rental. We're working on it.
Love it.
Hey, she squirms a little bit. That's when getting her outside of her comfort zone.
It'll be a decision you won't regret.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're stepping stones. You know, everyone wants to try to get it perfect up front and do the big. But you know, you gotta. There's different levels of this stuff, man. You can't just go from here to there. You gotta.
For sure.
You gotta step it up a little bit.
For sure. And it just, you know, sharpens the pencil a little bit every single time. Sharpens the axe, I guess I would say. Every single time you get into you can't go and raise money on a 200 unit building if you've never done it on a 2 unit, right? Or a 20 unit, or like just, it builds the muscle, right? That's more what it does. It builds the muscle, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger and more confident every single time. And dude, those little victories create a lot of momentum.
Yeah, for sure. And if someone ended up with 4,000 units immediately like that, gets sudden wealth syndrome, dude, they wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly.
They haven't built the muscle.
Exactly.
They haven't worked it.
Yeah, like you don't know how good you have it, or the opportunities that you have, and you haven't gone through the learning curve to get to that spot. So no, man, it's and at the same time, we've been talking offline. It's like everybody wants the bigger portfolio, everybody wants the bigger door count, and going back to the whole refining the business as you grow, take a step back in order to make leaps forward. It's not all about having more doors, right? Like, you got a certain level, you got 200 recurring customers that are paying you every single month.
Yeah.
Instead of getting $800 a month for them, how do you get them to pay you $850, $875, $895? And it's not just in rent. Like, think outside the box. What other efficiencies can you create? What other value can you create for those tenants where they're willing to spend another $75 a month with you? And if you're having a tough time finding deals in this marketplace, I would take a look at your existing portfolio, or look to partner with somebody with an existing portfolio and say, hey, let me increase the NOI. By increasing the NOI by $75 a door times 1,000 doors, right? Dude, you're talking about 75 grand a month of additional money that goes straight to the bottom line for the most part.
And they can come in and do that for the owner.
Exactly. Right? That's 900 grand of additional revenue, of additional bottom line
We'd all
revenue.
take that deal.
Right?
For someone to come in
Who
and help
wouldn't
us
do that?
Yeah.
I would give somebody a portion of whatever because it's not just the 900 grand. It's what does that do for the portfolio value? If you're talking about a 6% cap rate, which is
what is that? 900 grand.
900 divided by 0.06, $15 million. Right? Oh wait, hang on. Wait,
that's 150.
No, you're thinking. I said 900,000, not 9 million. Dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So 75 grand a month is $900,000 a year to the bottom line. Divided by a 6% cap rate, you added a zero on, but it's $15 million, right? $15 million because you got an extra $75 a door for somebody who's got a 1,000 unit portfolio. So if you're having a tough time finding deals, why not go and create value for somebody who already has doors, right? Like, think outside the box here and say, hey, if I can help you increase your portfolio value without even getting more property, let me help you increase this by $15 million. Can I have, I don't know, 5% of that, 10% of that? I don't know. Like, if somebody said, hey, if I can increase your portfolio value by $15 million, if I can do that over the next 12 to 18 months, would you kick me 10% of it? I'd say yes, I would kick you 10%, right?
Yeah.
Let me pay you $1.5 million to increase my portfolio value by 15 million bucks. Who wouldn't do that deal?
Absolutely.
I'd do it all day,
equity.
right? And I can kick them in equity, or if there's a way to, kick them into cash flow or bring them into the equity in the deal somehow, or profit share or whatever. Like, I would figure that out for that increase in value, because it doesn't only benefit me, it benefits all the other joint venture partners, and it benefits the limited partners, the investors, and it across the board. It makes it look better for the bank, for your investing partners, like your JV partner, and you can take those same efficiencies from that one building as the owner of that building, and then deploy it in all the other stuff, right, as well, that you have going on in your portfolio, and because of somebody's value that they brought. So it's like, dude, you don't always have to think about how do I scrape and scratch and build my own portfolio. It's like, how can I collaborate and bring value to somebody who has already got the doors?
Absolutely. It's just abundantly thinking, right?
Dude.
What would you say to somebody, though, that said, like, for instance, you started investing in apartments in 15, 16?
12.
12, okay.
Got heavy, but I went back and forth a little bit. I got back into flipping in 14, 15, 16, and then I went all back in to apartments in 17.
So there's some people that'll say, oh, like I started in 2010, 11, 12, bought a lot of houses and did that whole thing back then. They're like, oh, that was a terrific time to buy. But I think that's all, do you think it's all relative too, or you think it's timing?
No, dude, it's
because I personally think it's all relative.
There are great deals. There are great deals regardless of the market that you're in.
Yeah.
Right? I had somebody post on, on my Facebook yesterday, or 2 days ago, whatever it was. And they said, hey, you can't even buy real estate right now. The market's so hot. What does that mean, right?
I mean, inflation's going through the roof. Rents are going up. Like, how much are your rents going up right now? They got to be going through the roof.
Yeah, I'd have to talk to my team. Depending on the market, we don't try not to rock the boat, right? If it's a very tenant-friendly market, we're just renewing people right now because we're kind of, concerned about the the whole eviction moratorium and that stuff kind of coming back. But so we don't want an exodus of tenants. But dude, I think about it from a perspective of, totally lost my train of thought. Cut this part out, Cam.
Leave it in. Leave it in.
No. But we were talking about market. I'm sorry.
Market, increase in rents, tenants, not rocking the boat.
So they're like, oh, now's not a good time to invest in real estate because the market's so hot. Like, that's totally relative, right? I don't know. It's hot as a macro level, but dude, what about on a micro base? If you found a deal that somebody was willing to give you, would you not take it because the market's too hot? What does that mean, right? All right, so at what barometer then is it not a good deal for you, right? So it's all relative to your point of what is a good deal and not a good deal. If somebody sold it to you for 80 cents on the dollar, is that not a good deal? Is it if they sold it to you for 90 cents? What if they sold it to you for retail price, but they carried back the financing 100% on a 30-year amortization schedule at 2% interest rate?
Done.
Who wouldn't take that deal?
Done. Yeah.
I would take that deal in a heartbeat, right? I would pay 110% of the retail price if they're willing to carry back at a fixed rate of 2% when we know what's happening with inflation and we know that rents rise with inflation.
The value for you, right?
And you have a state, right? So why wouldn't you do that deal? So guess what? It's all relative. It's all based on the confinements of their thinking.
I just think
of whether or not it's a good time to buy or not.
When you've been in real estate so long, you see what deals have sold for, what apartments sold for, or whatever. Even though it shows on a spreadsheet, you're still thinking, man, this sold for this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's this. Well, it's worth that. Like the 72 unit I was telling you that we're getting ready to close on that next month, and I'm looking at how we're renewing people right now. I'm like, damn, this thing just went up $500,000 in value just by running it for the 6 months we've been in contract.
Yep.
Like, damn, that's crazy. So they're getting a great deal, and I didn't think so on the front end, but just because we're just doing what we would normally do to the property.
Well, dude, there's a lot of elements, right? Financing's cheaper than it's ever been.
Yep.
So if you can have fixed rate financing on real estate, along with property appreciation, inflation occurring, and you can the best way to combat inflation is by buying rental real estate and putting fixed debt on there. If you have fixed debt on there, guess what? Cost of capital is not going up, or cost of capital is going to be more expensive, right? In the future, because interest rates are going to go up, wages are going to go up, rents are going to go up, all that stuff. So interest rates are naturally going to go up to follow all that stuff. But if you can get fixed rate debt at the lowest rates we've ever seen, and just lock it in. They print $6 trillion, and they're trying to print another $3 trillion or something like that. Dude, what is that going to do? That's gonna significantly inflate the dollar, which means rents are going to rise with that, which means like you got free money. You essentially have free money if you have fixed rate interest.
Yeah, it's insane. I was actually going to ask you about inflation, what your thoughts were, and rents and things like that. I just know, like us personally, like especially on the single family side, like our average rent bumps are like $250 a month right now, and we're not locking in long-term leases, which is kind of, I don't know, you typically wouldn't do that, but I'm like, if inflation gets completely out of control, I have fixed income for the next 12 months. I don't want fixed income.
You have variable rents that keep on
rising. But I need variable rents. But if I lock them in for 12 months, I can't raise rents in 6 months. And I'm not trying to rock the boat either. I mean, I want to keep these people in here over the long term, but at the same time, we gotta carry our own costs.
That's fascinating. I don't even know what we're increasing our rents by. I got to talk to Carlin on that. But dude, they're paying baristas at Starbucks $21 an hour now, starting wage. 21, 22, something like
benefits,
that.
401, the whole nine. Yeah, $15 minimum wage, that's not even a thing.
Dude, like, it's unbelievable what's happening and where it's going to continue to go. And people think they're getting richer, but no, everything's just getting more expensive, dude. Everything's just getting more expensive.
If you got fixed debt and if you own real estate,
so how do you combat it? That's it.
You got to own real estate,
dude. I'm equity stripping everything.
Yeah.
And putting as much debt on stuff as I possibly can at a fixed 3 to 4% interest rate.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's going to be free money in 2 or 3 years from now, and I'm just going to be able to pay down that debt with cheaper future dollars, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you think, look at what's happened with inflation, the American dollar, the U.S. dollar, has gone from a 1960 worth a dollar. It decreased in value by 75% to 1990 in 30 years. Right, so now it costs $4 in 1990 to buy $1, what $1 bought in 1960. From 1990, going through the Great Recession and the dot-com bubble burst, into 2020, it depreciated again by another 50%. So now it costs $8 in 2020
That's insane.
For something that cost $1 in 1960. Then they just printed 40% of all money ever.
All money.
In the past 18 months.
Yeah.
And they're trying to print more, right? So now you're like, what is that going to do to the dollar over the next 3 years, let alone the next 30 years?
People are just now spending all that money's just now starting to get through the economy. So we haven't even seen like the half of it yet. Dude, when all these dollars start flowing through retail and everything else again,
that was the difference in the last. That's why we didn't see inflation when they printed $800 billion in 2008 and 2009, because people were so scared that they just saved all the money,
hoarded it.
So it didn't get reintroduced into the economy, and it didn't stimulate anything. So prices didn't go up, right? If it's not being spent, prices aren't going to go up. So that's why it didn't deflate that much over that 30-year period. Dude, people right now are burning through cash, right? They're spending money, they're going on vacation, they're buying houses, they're going out to dinner, they're doing all those things, and you're already seeing it in just a very short amount of time, how much that inflation's happening. And so, like, I can't imagine what it's going to look like in 30 years. My point is, put fixed rate debt on your properties and then don't pay it off early, dude, because you're going to probably be paying a quarter to pay down $1 on that mortgage 20 years from now, right?
And think about it, if it really
you'll use a quarter to pay down $1 because it's going to depreciate.
If it really does hyperinflate, your buildings are paid off in like half the time.
Exactly.
Maybe a third of the time.
Right. So
who knows?
So you can slam it all down if you want, or you can just cash flow the shit out of it. So that's why I'm also not that concerned about. Obviously nobody wants to overpay. We all want to create value add properties and kind of create that appreciation instead of speculating on any of it. But knowing that inflation is happening and that we can get fixed rate debt, I'm not that concerned about not being able to repay the property or pay off the property or refinance the property in the future, just because it's rising so much, right? Like the values are rising, so rents are rising. So even if interest rates get bumped up and things start appraising at an 8 cap or a 9 cap instead of a 6 cap, right? You can the numbers still make sense because the rents have risen so much.
The rents are still going to rise. And they have to rise. I mean, they never went down in recorded history.
Dude, it's insane, man. And it's that you know, that workforce housing is harder and harder to come by.
It is.
And so because of that, I just think the blue collar, you know, workforce housing.
So I always call it blue collar, blue collar stuff.
Like that stuff is going to be very, very strong. I think mobile home parks are going to be strong for a long,
you
long
own
time.
Any of those?
No, I don't. I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I can't find big enough ones, or you know, I don't really want to run it. I got to find somebody to run it. If anybody brought me a mobile home park, I would fund it. I would fund it and partner on it as long as somebody else operated it who was competent and knew what the hell they were doing. Assuming it's also big enough. But yeah, dude, I would love to invest in those. I like housing, dude. I really like multifamily a lot.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to wrap their head around. You know, retail, who knows where retail is going to go? You know, I mean, you saw just how the boat got rocked prior to COVID happening with just all these, you know, all the stores going online, right? Amazon took business off from brick and mortar and put it online. And then obviously, you know, you got the riots and shit that happened, you know, dude, 18 months ago.
Our gym got busted up, you know?
Dude, it's crazy, right? And so, like,
up.
why would you ever want to own a retail space? I don't know. Dude, I don't want to own anything like that's a retail storefront. Like, they get shit knocked out and insurance isn't covering it and the government doesn't give a shit about it. Like, why would you ever want to deal with that? And then all of a sudden, you're battling, you know, retail giants like Amazon and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden the government shuts people down. They tell them they got to wear a mask or you got to be vaccinated to even come into your store. And like, dude, why?
That's not bad down here though.
No, not down here. But like,
not at all.
but think about what the stranglehold that other people have on your business because you're a retail business owner, right? So my point is, I don't know where retail is going to go, but it's gotten shaken up so much that I don't want to touch with it right now, right? Offices, I don't know where office is going. Everybody's gotten away from the big overhead, the big offices now. They're all working from home. So that's another industry that who knows where it's going to go.
Even our gym downtown, I mean, there was, you know, 2 floors of office space gone, vacant, you know, and it's happening all across downtown. You're like, shit.
In primo locations.
Yeah, in primo locations.
Yeah.
But are they primo anymore? If people
Right.
aren't around there,
Yeah, what
is
does
it
that
really
even mean?
primo?
Right.
What's
That's
that
a good
mean?
point. It's a good point.
Right?
And the same thing with hotels, right? Hotels, you can't get financing on. Like, where's that industry going to go? That asset class going to go? I don't know. Airbnb's shaking that up quite a bit. So it's like people need somewhere to live, right? They need, when the market's good, everybody can afford blue collar, workforce housing. When the market shifts, a lot of those luxury renters move into more just kind of a workforce, right? Mm-hmm. And it's very insulated from all that. So I really like that space, and I like mobile home parks. And then I like the very unique rental properties as well. You know, that just kind of
the
makes
trophy
sense.
properties.
What's that?
The trophy properties.
The trophy property. Yeah, I like a few of those.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the other thing, dude. Like, I don't know if you've heard on the news the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you saw it. This is probably getting into the weeds. I mean, it has no intent of being political. It's just interesting to think about. But the World Economic Forum did like a mock pandemic, and they brought in all these world leaders, like, you know, the president of Marriott came in, the president of like all these different big businesses came in. How is it going to affect the motor industry? How is it going to affect the airlines? How is it going to affect the hotel industry? How would a global pandemic? And dude, they did this in 2019. 2018, 2019, they did a pandemic. What does it look like, right? Put on by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, by the way, which is kind of squirmy, right? The reality is they did this test study of what would happen if a global pandemic occurred, and this and that, and a lot of the things that they played out in their practice session did occur, right? And that's how a lot of people reacted. Not all of it was the same, but they essentially said, hey, what happened? And then all of a sudden it happened 24 months later, right? So now, you know what they're testing right now, or this past year in 2021, is what would happen if there was a, how would the world respond if there was an electrical shutdown, right? If something happened, something got hacked, and they had to totally terminate all electrical, everything that's on the electrical grid that uses electricity, they had to shut it down. Communications, right? Lighting, all these different things. And how would the world respond to something like that?
So I'm a huge believer in crypto, right? And I know that you've been investing in crypto pretty heavy. Dude, if that happens, what happens to the money supply, right? So but then at that point, I mean, we're all guns, ammo, stocked food, and all that. Then everything else doesn't even matter. Everything's irrelevant,
right? I don't give a shit if you got gold bars. What are you gonna do with gold bars? You gonna throw it at somebody? You gonna hit them in the head over it? Like what is that gonna do? It doesn't matter, right? There's no utility to it. What has utility if shit hits the fan, like, and my wife, you know, saw somebody talking about it, and then, you know, Googled it, clicked on some links, went down this rabbit hole, started talking to other people. Some dude from the gym chimes in about it, and all this stuff just over the past couple of days. And so now she's like, "What's our plan? What's our plan?"
What's our doomsday
I was
plan?
like, "Well, you know, here's the thing. Like, we have whatever, some supplies and this other shit. Like, dude, I think it's a real thing, and I think it's a." If you really do research on like the food supply in America, 2% of the population supplies 100% of the population, right? If that 2% has a, I don't know, something bad that happens, or there's a supply chain issue, like if there's a supply chain issue in the country, there's less than 4 weeks of food in grocery stores and everything right now.
No shit.
4 weeks. Supply chain happens, people start eating each other 5 weeks from now, right? I don't know that.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, or they start looking at their dog a little bit slant-eyed, right? So what does that mean, right? Like, what does that do? I think it is neglectful if you don't have some sort of plan in place, if you don't have some sort of like thing that you could pay attention to, right? So, like, you know, I got MREs and like some of that kind of stuff, but like, dude, I think you got to stock up on guns, right? You got to stock up on ammo. That shit actually matters. And the very unique properties that I bought, I didn't even expect this, but a lot of my investors that are coming in on these things, it's because it's an island, right? It's an island that's off the grid that has solar, septic, well water, self-sustaining property with fish all around it, right? Like, and they're like, I want in, if shit hits a fan, I get to come there, right? And I was like, yeah, hey, go, bring a tent, right? Like, let's go, we'll create our own little commune. And like my mountain house is like that too. It's got well water, it's on septic system. It doesn't have solar, but it's got like generators, like 1,000-gallon propane tank. And so like, I start thinking about that kind of stuff, and that's like a real demand for a lot of my investors, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? So like going back to like, you know, growing, and then once you grow, you've got properties, you got this, you build your moat around it, you protect it, and that's kind of the mindset that, you know, we're talking about now. It's like, dude, you have to, once you get shit, you got to protect your shit a little bit.
You got to, man.
You got to protect your house.
You got, make sure your house is in order, make sure your family's taken care of, man.
I've never thought about that, you know, for a long time. So going back to like growing, then cleaning shit up, like you start looking like, wow, what if this does happen? Yeah. What if this happens? Well, what if this happens? Well, shit, you've got to put all these protective measures in place.
I just, you know, is it a real threat? I don't think I
personally think it's a threat.
It could absolutely happen, right? I mean, who's to say friggin', I don't know, another country couldn't attack the U.S. infrastructure and electrical system, I don't even know what the hell it's called, right? And do an attack, and they got to shut down the, that could very well happen. I mean, that probably happens in third world countries by dictators also, right? Is that the threat? Really, for me, it's like, how are people going to respond to the threat, right? And that's what I don't, that's what you can't trust.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Americans would freak out.
Bro, when there's a pandemic, everybody went and hoarded toilet paper. What the, dude,
I couldn't wipe my ass with toilet paper for like a week.
Dude,
I had it was crazy, man. You know, we're using like feminine wipes and all types of stuff. It was crazy. I'm like, all right, kids, you gotta ration this.
Yeah, ration it out. So you're thinking, if that's how people respond to that situation, and they're not like, I don't know, hoard food, noodles, like beans or something, right? No, they got toilet paper, and so
it's so irrational,
dude. It makes no sense, and which scares me from like anything happening.
Full of ramen noodles.
Exactly?
Can't get toilet paper.
Exactly. How are people going to respond if that happens, right? And that's the unexpected. That's the thing that, I think COVID just kind of opened our eyes to all these different things that could potentially occur. And how are other people going to react? We don't know. But chances are it's going to be irrational.
Yeah.
And so you got to, I don't know, protect your house, I guess, in that regard. But
I just know, at least
it's fascinating.
When COVID hit for us, I mean, dude, we were completely overextended. We had all these houses that were getting ready to hit the market, just completely overextended.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it hit, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Like, I'm getting on Facebook Live, I'm crying, and like, you know, the world's gonna end. Holy shit! Like, what are we gonna do? And I just don't ever want to be in that situation myself, my family, my business, where I get completely overextended because I'm trying to grow at all costs. It just doesn't make sense anymore, you know, because you don't know the next COVID or electrical grid thing, because it could happen, you know. So you got to.
I mean, some of that stuff, it could be such a big deal that it's like, everything shuts down. Like nobody's even worried about the financial side of things, right? They're just in survival mode. But very realistically, dude, who knows what could happen from all that stuff? It just how do you protect on it? You know, hopefully that's a doomsday scenario and nobody it never happens and we don't have to worry about it. But you start looking at life in a different lens when some of this stuff breaks down. So don't overextend yourself, right? Like get your house in order. You know, we had a lot of value add projects that were heavy value add projects that we bought in 2019, and all of a sudden 20, you know, blindsides us, and we're like, oh damn, and we couldn't get material, we couldn't get supplies, we couldn't get labor force, right? We couldn't get financing shut down, or all but shut down, right? Lower loan to values, harder to get qualified, escrows for taxes and insurance and principal and interest escrows, all of it, reserves for everything. So it just made it very, very difficult to do deals for a little bit there. And dude, I just remember it was like, it was stressful, right? It's like you don't ever want to be put in that position. When you don't have anything to lose, it's like, let's go, right?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Full steam ahead. But when you do, now all of a sudden, you know, you dig that moat, make sure the house is in order, and then you know,
biggest obstacle you think in real estate in the next like 5 years? Because for me personally, I think, you know, we're talking about construction costs, talking about a bunch of different things, rates rising. Me personally, I think it's labor. The guys that know actually how to swing a hammer don't exist anymore. They're not teaching it anymore, and no one wants to do it anymore. Yep, it's trades. It's tradesmen for sure, right? Like it's a dying breed. Bro, I know plumbers who are making more money than most attorneys and doctors. Isn't that insane? But they're valuable.
Dude, they're hugely valuable. Right? If you can control the labor force, which is one of the things, like my contractor who travels all around the Southeast for me, he controls his own labor force. He brings in people who want to work, who are willing to work, and he brings them in from, but he pays them a great wage, right? Comparatively, I mean, it's a respectable wage here. It's a phenomenal wage compared to what they could make in Central America, right? And he brings them in, gets them all, you know, their permitting and all that kind of stuff, takes care of all that stuff. And he controls it because he understands the labor shortage, right? So he brings them in, makes sure everything's above board, and then from there, dude, they just move from project to project. And when nobody else can find labor, dude, these guys can do everything. They can do brick and mortar work. They can do carpentry work. They can do electrical, plumbing, everything, framing, all of it, man. They can do roofing, siding, landscaping, all of it. And we're able to go in from property to property and control that. That was one of the uncontrollables that we didn't have before. And you know, over the past like 6-8 months, developed a really, really good relationship with this guy and said, hey, and I'm giving him equity, right? I got to give him equity in order to then incentivize him enough. Control. But now I got control over it, right? So it's a win for him, it's a win for us. But yeah, dude, that whole tradesman piece, if you can figure out that, if you can dial that in, dude, you're gonna have a leg up on everybody else in the industry. Yeah. Because people are gonna have more holding costs on their properties when they buy them because it's gonna take longer, it's gonna be more expensive. Right? So if you can get it done for less in a shorter amount of time, it reduces your overall cost basis on that property, and you can get it cash flowing sooner, which means you can go and pay the same or more than somebody else or less and still, you know, make a lot more.
We were talking about this last week at a networking event that I hosted. But yeah, man, I mean, dude, we're always talking, educators are always talking about finding the deal, buying right, getting debt, going to the bank, doing it. But then, you got to fix it up. You got to fix this shit. You know, that's the part that I think that
right? It's not. That's not what gets people in the door, right?
Well,
yeah.
You got to find somebody.
People want to know how to raise money, right? And they want to know how to source deals. And then, like, as soon as you start talking about the real work, which is 90% of it, when the real work happens is after you close the deal. It's not before. No. Raising money's easy, dude. The finding deals easy. The hard stuff is the operational side of things. And if you don't have that dialed in, or if you're not linking arms with somebody, dude, you can be in a really, really tight spot.
Yeah, and just to set the record straight, he put some on Instagram the other day that buying the deal is not the the number one thing. You got to buy the deal right, but you also got to be able to manage the deal.
For sure,
man. Whether it's property management, project management, fixing shit, all that stuff in between. I mean, that's where you can really make or break a deal. You can take a shitty deal, and if you manage it right over the long term, it can turn into a good deal.
For sure.
You know,
I mean that's the beauty of buying rental property, right? It doesn't matter how bad you mess it up. If it's managed properly and you have time on your side, you can let this thing pay down principal, let the property appreciate with the rents over time, and all of a sudden find yourself sitting on a bunch of equity in that deal.
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty of this. You can really screw up the business, but if you have time on your side and good operations on your side, you can take the ugliest pig or the ugliest duckling and turn it into a swan.
For sure. Yeah, our flips that go bad. That's the one thing. I'm like, look, worst case scenario, we rent it out.
Yeah.
Shove it in a portfolio. We'll hold on to it for 3 to 5 years. Sell it at that point. But
love it.
You got time on your side.
Love it, dude. Well, I'm excited for you to move down here, man. It's gonna be awesome.
I got to talk to the boss first. We'll see. I would love to though, man. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I know why you're here.
Yeah. It's a fun place to live, man. There's a lot of good stuff going on from a real estate perspective. It's one of the best in the country. So, well, dude, I appreciate you being here, man. Always fun
good shit.
To sit down,
Absolutely.
have a conversation with you, and talk high level. It's really exciting to see what you got happening, and can't wait to see what the next 12 months looks like for you, bro.
Vice versa, back at you, man.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
Awesome. Tons of good stuff out of that. I love sitting down with sharp entrepreneurs and just talking shop. So hopefully you guys got a ton of value out of it. We got into some really, really good stuff that we haven't talked about on past episodes. So if you got some value, please share it, like, subscribe, kick the little notifications bell so that way you can get posted on all the new upcoming Spill the Beans episodes and all the other content that we drop out on our YouTube channel. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Till next time, be your best.